Hello there. In this video, I'm going to go over how to add and remove things from your medical record templates. So you should have already watched the basics to editing in the series of videos that I've made. So I'm going to go ahead and go right into edit mode so we can get started. And for this one, I'm going to start us off on a blank tab so that way I can go over the very basic things of how to add items in. The easiest thing that you can do to get these are called one-line text box. So that's the majority of your record is going to be compiled using these. So let's go ahead and go over how to add those in. And the easiest way you can do that is if you right click in anywhere on this tab actually, you'll get an option to add a new field to tab one line. And this is going to ask you for your input label text, which is going to be the label for your text box. And from here, you can basically just drag these items around. Now, I did make a video on how to move these items around, so you can move them as a group. Or if you're just beginning, you might just want to, move them individually. Okay, so just know that there are options for moving things around. So there's that way to go about it. It's a simple and fast way. The other way that you can do it is from the Edit Records window. So let's go ahead and bring this window up, and we're going to go ahead and click Add New Field. Okay, that's going to give us a brand new field that we can customize as we need to. So the text up here is going to be the label that you see in front of your field, or on top of it, or however you decide to structure it. So let's do notes 2, keep it nice and easy. So now we have the option to actually do a one-line box, or we can do a 2, a 4, or a custom height text. So let's just do the same as we did before with a one-line text box. Now to get this onto our tab, we're actually going to right click again, and we're going to add field to tab. Okay, so same thing where you can click and drag it as needed. All right, let's go ahead and add in a custom notes box. So for that, we're going to click add new field again. Give it another label, and we're going to do a custom height text box. Now the major difference real quick between a one-line text box, a 2 or a 4-line, or the custom is the F9 rows. So with 1 you get 1 row of F9s, 2 you get 2 rows, and then the max that you can have is 4. So basically what happens with these multi-line text boxes is after you choose your first drop-down menu, then you'll get an option for the second row, the third row, and the fourth row. So you might want to play with that a little bit. A lot of times your F9 values are going to be the same for each row, in which case once you add in an F9 value, you can just go ahead and copy those. That gets more into F9s, which I cover in another video as well. Okay, so now that we have that out of the way, let's go ahead and add this 4-line text box to our tab by right-clicking and add field to tab. All right, so you can already see the difference here. It's a lot taller, and we can basically make these fields as wide as we want to by using the plus button on our keyboard. If you make them too large and you want to make them smaller, you can use minus. So let me go ahead and increase the width of this one by using my plus button on my keyboard. Okay, so there's that. Now, if I want to make these two items the exact same width as this one, there is a little trick to it. So you'll want to go ahead and select any of the items that you want to make the same width as this one, which you can do by clicking and dragging and making sure that those are in your selection box, which you can kind of see is invisible. So we can do that, or you can right click on items to select them. Okay, so once you have the field selected, the last thing you're going to do is you're going to right click on the field that you want to take the properties of. All right, now what we're going to do is click Alt W, like walrus, and it'll jump to that exact same size. So that's going to help you out and speed things up as you're going along to make things consistent as well. All right, so that's pretty nice. The other thing that you can do is when you have the multi-line text boxes, you can make them as tall or as short as you want to. To make them taller, you're going to use Shift plus. And to make them shorter, you're going to use Shift minus. Okay, so there's that. If you forget how to make things taller, shorter, etc., there's a help button up here. And that goes through some of the field options as well as some of the shortcuts that you might want to familiarize yourself with to make it a little bit easier. So that's the basics of how you can add things on. One question that I do get a lot is, how can I make this one line text box? How can I turn it into a multi-line text box? So for that, there's a couple of steps that you need to do, but it's not that difficult to convert it. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to find the field number here, 3735, and you're actually going to change this from a one line text box to a 2, 4, or a custom height. Okay, so once you change it, the change is not immediate, which you're going to find as you're editing your records. Some of the changes are not immediate. So this is one of those instances. So since we've got the type changed, we're actually going to save our records. And then we're going to go back into edit mode. Okay, so now that we're back into edit mode, we can see that it has these little arrows, which means that we can increase the height of it. So I'm going to go ahead and move these items down to make a little bit more room. And then you can use the Shift plus buttons on your keyboard. Or if we want to make it the exact same height as this one to keep it consistent, again, you can click on this item, right click on the one that you want to take the form of, and then we can do Alt P, like penguin. Okay, so that's nice and consistent. If we wanted to get rid of one of these items, or any one of the items, this works for text boxes, buttons, checkboxes, any items on your records. What you can do is you can click on it, and then you can press delete on your keyboard. Okay. You can remove multiple items at a time by clicking and dragging around them, or you can right click on them as well. Okay, so that's perfect. So that kind of concludes the very basic of how to add and remove items from your records. The next thing that I want to go over is how to add and remove items when you have panels, because it does work a little bit different. So for that, I'm actually going to go into, let's see what a good tab would be. Let's do the medical history. Let's say that I want to add in a notes box on my review of systems here. So I want to add in a multi-line notes box. So once again, I'm going to bring up my edit records window, and I'm going to add a new field for notes. I'll make it a 2-line box. And for now, we can go ahead and minimize that. Okay, so for panels, basically what happens is you can't right click on them like you normally would to add that field to tab, because the only option you get is to send to back. So you need to make sure that you're right clicking in an empty area. Empty area would just be something off to the side or anything that's not filled with a button, text, or panel. So we're going to right click, and we are going to add field to tab. And then from here, this should be familiar, you can click and drag it to wherever you need to. And then we'll use our trick that we use to get the same width, where we click on the item and then right click on the one that we want to take the property of. And we'll do Alt W. Okay. And then I'm going to just use Alt plus to make it a little bit taller. Okay, so now that we've got it on the tab, the panels need to be moved to the very back of the page, because the templates work in layers. So what you'll need to do is you'll need to right click on the panel, and that's where this send to back option comes into play. So we'll send it to the back, and it doesn't really look like it did anything, but if we hadn't sent it to back, you wouldn't be able to see this new label, since this is a new field that we added in. So very important to right click and send that panel to the back after you've added in your new element. So that pretty much, I think, goes over how to add and remove things. You can watch the other videos on how to align items. If you've got things that are a little bit skewed and kind of crazy, you can easily align them as well. So that's in one of the other videos that I made. You want to check those out. There's a video on how to actually change the colors of the text items so that everything matches, or change the panel colors. You want to take a look at those as well. If you do have any questions or anything that you need to go over, you can always email me, which is Erica at crystalpm.com. Erica with a C. Okay, thanks for watching.